Alright, imagine this. You step outside for a breath of fresh air. Maybe you're mid-scroll through yet another doom-laden newsfeed, and you glance up for a moment and realise there's a 10-story tall glowing Jesus waving at you in the sky, flanked by Buddha and an all-star lineup of religious icons, all vibing to some divine orchestral banger. It's like the most ambitious collab in spiritual history. But wait, before you assume you've been spiked with something a little extra in your morning coffee, consider this. What if this wasn't a miracle? What if it wasn't even real? What if, instead, it was all part of a top-secret government plan to manipulate humanity into submission? Welcome to Project Bluebeam, the conspiracy theory that takes government overreach, cutting-edge tech, and our collective paranoia and blends them into a wild, reality-bending smoothie. If you thought deep fakes and AI-generated nonsense were the peak of modern deception, buckle up. This one goes all the way to the stratosphere, so let's dive in.
In our obsession with antagonisms of the moment, we often forget how much unites all the members of humanity. Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Let's rewind to the early 90s for a little bit of context. A Canadian journalist, Serge Monast, somehow stumbled upon a theory so bizarre, yet chillingly plausible, that it sent shockwaves through conspiracy circles. Monast, who had a knack for sniffing out governmental misdeeds, believed Project Bluebeam was the ultimate covert plot. Monast's theory is like the granddaddy of all global conspiracy plots. In his 1994 book, Project Bluebeam, he argued that the UN, in collaboration with NASA and other shadowy global elites, planned to manipulate global religious beliefs and engineer a spiritual experience. One so convincing that it would unite the world under a single, centralized government. Think of it as the world's most ambitious reality TV show, except the producers were probably laughing manically from their hidden lair. According to Serge Monast, the New World Order isn't going to take over with boring old politics or economic collapse. No, they're going full-on sci-fi summer blockbuster. Here's the 4-phase plan. Step 1, earthquakes. Huge, dramatic earthquakes, like someone turned the planet's destruction settings to max. These quakes will conveniently unearth ancient artifacts that prove all religions were wrong, because obviously the best way to destroy faith wouldn't be something as basic as centuries of historical revision, for example. No, seismic trickery and strategically placed relics is clearly the superior strat. Now that all of faith is in shambles, it's time for the big reveal. Picture a planet-wide holographic event where every god you've ever heard of appears in the sky at the same time, speaking at every language at once, and then they all merge into one super god, confirming that every belief system was just a misinterpretation of the true, singular deity. This will be the most expensive-looking light show in history. A CGI masterpiece, so dramatic that even Michael Bay would be taking notes. Expect lens flares, explosions, and divine revelations in Dolby Atmos. Once humanity is sufficiently wowed, the real mind games then begin. A secret technology will beam thoughts directly into people's heads, making them believe their new god is speaking to them personally. Imagine unskippable YouTube ads, but in your brain. Messages will be tailored to individual belief systems, guiding each person into absolute submission. Have you ever had a song stuck in your head? Now imagine that, but it's a state-sponsored deity whispering "obey" on loop. And just when you think it's over, UFOs, holographic alien ships descending upon major cities, zapping landmarks, terrifying the masses, and prompting world leaders to unite. But don't worry, the New World Order has a solution. A single, totalitarian world government, led by a charismatic leader, promising salvation. And there you have it, the end of days, complete with explosions, mass hysteria, and a global authoritarian rule, now in 4K Ultra HD, because apparently the most effective way to take over the world isn't slow-moving societal control, no, it's a high-budget, special effects, heavy space opera, and voila, total global mind control. Now, the 90s was wild, that's a given, but let's fast forward a couple of decades to around now, and we live in a world that's eerily closer to Monast's vision than anybody in the mid-90s could have ever imagined. In 2024, a surge of mysterious drone sightings in New Jersey had conspiracy theorists dusting off their old copies of Project Bluebeam, like it was required reading for the end of days. These weren't just your average hobby drones. They appeared in coordinated formations, moving with a precision that screamed, this is either next-level military tech or the soft launch of the fake alien invasion. Naturally, the FBI and DHS jumped into action, assuring the public with their usual boilerplate statements, just amateur enthusiasts, no cause for alarm, please return to your regularly scheduled programming. But let's be honest, anyone with even a passing knowledge of conspiracy lore must have seen the glaring similarities to Monast's prophecy. A fleet of unidentifiable aerial objects appearing over major areas. That's literally Phase 4 of Bluebeam. Obviously, there's no 10-story tall Jesus yet, and no solid evidence has ever linked these drones to a shadowy government plot to simulate extraterrestrial threats, but when has that ever stopped anyone from connecting the dots with a Sharpie and a frantic YouTube deep dive? Sometimes, though, the best conspiracy theories do have a kernel of truth. Drones have been used for military operations, high-level surveillance, and let's face it, whatever else the government doesn't want you snooping around about. So, is it really that outrageous to think they could be part of something bigger? After all, we've already seen mind-blowing advancements in drone technology, especially in the world of entertainment. Take the 2025 New Year's celebrations, for example. In China, 10,000 drones turned the night sky into a high-tech masterpiece, forming intricate patterns and images that made traditional fireworks look like a caveman's torch. Meanwhile, the UAE stunned spectators with an 8-minute fusion of drone artistry and pyrotechnics over Ras Al Khaimah, proving that synchronized UAVs could dazzle just as much as they could potentially terrify. The only problem now is, if Project Bluebeam does roll out its grand celestial CGI spectacle, humanity might not cower in fear at the sight of glowing figures descending from the heavens. Instead, we'll just lean back and say, yep, we've seen all that, what else have you got? So where does that leave us? Is Project Bluebeam a shadowy government operation set to plunge us into a drone-driven, AI-ridden holographic apocalypse? Or is this just another conspiracy theory held together by duct tape and wishful thinking? YouTube commentaries with ominous background music and a deep-seated human desire to make sense of chaos. Psychologically speaking, we do love a good conspiracy theory, don't we? Because our brains are pattern-seeking machines. When reality feels unpredictable, which, let's be honest, has been the collective theme of the last few years, we crave narratives that explain it all. Conspiracies offer that sweet, sweet cognitive closure, wrapping up every weird event into a neat little bow labelled, "They are controlling us." It's comforting, in a way, because if someone is in control, then at least someone knows what's going on. The alternative, that we're all just fumbling through a series of random and absurd events is actually even more terrifying than the conspiracies. But back to Bluebeam. Could it actually happen? Well, technically we do have the technology for massive holographic projections. Governments absolutely use psychological warfare and mass media to shape public perception. And yes, social engineering is definitely a thing. But organising a full-blown global hoax involving coordinated alien invasions, religious figures descending from the heavens, and a new world order rolling out like a bad video game cutscene, that's, well, a logistical nightmare. Have you seen how hard it is for world leaders to agree on basic trade policies? Coordinating an intergalactic light show to enslave humanity feels a tad ambitious. And let's be real, after everything we've collectively endured lately, if Project Bluebeam did kick off tomorrow, the world's reaction would probably be a mix of Twitter debates, conspiracy infighting, and general apathy. Half of the population would argue over which billionaire is really behind it, the other half would be too busy doom scrolling, and a solid percentage would just be making memes, and honestly, those memes would be fire. So, next time you see a weird light in the sky, take a deep breath. It's probably just a drone or one of Elon Musk's rockets or a satellite. But hey, stay curious, question everything, and maybe don't let a blurry TikTok video convince you that the end is nigh. Remember, whether it's a real conspiracy or just another rabbit hole, the human mind loves a good story. Just make sure you're the one that's writing yours.